This is Capital Games. I'm the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero. We've got kind of a light week. There is some decent stories, but I think they're best for our weekly dividend, which is every Friday here on the channel. Today, we thought it would be a good idea to talk about something that is releasing very soon that we thought would have a little more hype and a little more pomp and circumstance to, that seems to be quietly coming out. It's coming out on the 22nd, and it's the PSVR2. I think we both have discussed this off-air, how whenever we're reminded that the PSVR2 is coming, how there's no advertising, there's no hype, there's nothing involving this except for maybe a blog post and a video from PlayStation. Tell me your thoughts about what's going on with the PSVR2 right now.
I imagine that Sony's probably measuring their metrics based on the pre-order emails that they've sent out. I know they sent me an email out back in November saying, hey man, you're eligible to pre-order a PSVR2. Just pre-order right away and we will charge you when it comes time and all this other good stuff. And I assume most people probably got the pre-order email right around November as well too. And they'd probably use that email as a sort of measure for metrics and everything. And I presume they're desperate to try to drum up attention for it because I believe it was yesterday I got an email from Sony again saying, hey, did you know you're still eligible to pre-order the PSVR2? Pre-order today and we'll try to get your kit out to you by the time frame of February 22nd to the 28th. So,
oh wow, so that's the initial launch, isn't it?
Yeah. So the initial launch period, and I'm getting like a guarantee that if I were to pre-order sometime now, that I should be able to get it within the launch week. But I assume most people like me have probably looked at the price of $550 for the headset and two controllers, or $600 for the headset, controllers, and Horizon Call of the Mountain as a pack-in, as a pretty pricey piece of kit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you have that big of a hit when it comes to what a consumer has to pay, the thing that you're going to want with that is to make sure there are a lot of games that are going to be available that people are interested in when it comes to that hardware. Unless it's just a piece of hardware that is so good that everybody wants it, which, although some enthusiasts of VR claim that it is that good of a tech, it's not good enough to pay $600 for, and if you don't have a PS5, to get a PS5 for, which is another $550. That's a little much on there. What do you think the issue is here? Is it solely the price? Or a thought I just had when you were talking was, is this also the fact that the audience for VR is contracting? That it's not as ubiquitous as a format that I think people thought that it was going to be? Because I remember when the first Oculus Rift started coming out, how people thought it was revolutionary and it was going to change everything. And it doesn't seem that way, does it?
In my personal evaluation, I think it's kind of a situation of price that most people who got into VR were, especially if they got in around PSVR2, they were fine with the $300 price range because that was within striking distance of, say, the first Oculus Quest headset. And especially with that, most people probably saw it as, hey, PlayStation device, trusted brand, it's all good. So, I'm pretty comfortable with getting a VR headset because it's on the PlayStation ecosystem. So, games aren't really that big of a concern because at least with PlayStation, they've got other stuff too. Whereas now you've got people probably on the price conscious side going, whoa, $600. Holy cow. That's a little more than the PS5 console I just bought. Really? Holy shit. This thing is the price of the console I just bought. that's a hard pill to swallow. And so I believe that's one part of the factor to do with things. The other factor is likely there isn't really a big killer app for the PSVR2 headset yet. Maybe one is coming, but the PlayStation marketing really hasn't made that big of a showcase on other things. I mean, I think the only PSVR game for PSVR2 that has gotten a lot of marketing has been Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I know yesterday Capcom did put out a video showing off the new VR mode for Resident Evil 4 Remake. So I know that has a little bit of help from Capcom. That's not really Sony directly helping. There's that, but yeah, just honestly, I don't really see those things being the killer app that just get the killer apps that bring everyone to the table. I mean,
Yeah.
the survival horror fans, sure, if they've got 550 or 600 to blow, sure, they might go ahead and pick up a PSVR2 headset, but I don't think that they're going to go completely out of their way just to say, oh man, I need it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. There are a few games that are getting updates. You mentioned Resident Evil Village. Gran Turismo 7 is also getting an update if you already have the game, so you can play it on VR there. And it looks like there's updates for Tetris Effect Connected, or is that just you have to purchase that? I'm not entirely sure. But there are a couple updates, but there are also a bunch of games that are being released at the same time that are merely just updates and upgrades to the previous version.
There was also, I mostly mentioned Resident Evil 4 Remake, the one that comes out in April.
Right. There's also Tetris Effect that I'm not sure it's a free upgrade because it's not saying so on the PlayStation blog. Thumper is coming out on PSVR 2. We have a new Fantavision. Yay. Moss 1 and 2 remasters are coming, and they're not upgrades. You have to pay for those. I mean, we have a Job Simulator. You'll have to pay for that. The Creed Rise to Glory. I know that's a previous VR game that you also have to pay for, apparently. So you're not even offering... It doesn't seem like they're offering, like, for people who are PSVR1 enthusiasts and people who've had that, any sort of way for upgrades that they can get to. I mean, No Man's Sky is coming, but that, I think, you have to purchase over again. Not only is the kit expensive, but it also looks like you're going to have to repurchase a bunch of the titles that you've already purchased on the previous PSVR. And if you're not... and if you're not giving any kind of free stuff or anything to upgrade from the first to the second, and the kit is pricey, that's a big problem and a big hurdle for people who are PSVR fans.
Yeah, and I think what makes it even more tough to really see the adoption take off is the fact that Sony has been leaving it completely open to the developer on if they want to provide a free upgrade to PSVR 2 or if just the players are just going to have to fork out the money and just go, okay, well, we're making a new PSVR 2 version. Did you buy the PSVR 1 version? Okay, well, sucks to be you. Just go rebuy the new one. And some developers have been open about the upgrades, and some have been a little bit quiet and keeping things close to the chest. So I think that also, unfortunately, makes things a bit murky as well too.
Let's get into marketing. I guess since you've briefly mentioned it there, I don't know about you. Maybe I'm wrong. I have not seen any ads. I haven't seen any marketing. I haven't seen anything talking about PSVR 2 at all. I also, from people who watched the Super Bowl, the only thing that I heard Sony was advertising was God of War Ragnarok. Nothing about PSVR 2. Why is that? Why are they not marketing this other than having a blog post and a few videos on their YouTube channel?
Honestly, that has been one of the things that's been baffling me, especially with the fact that Sony on the PlayStation blog has put a lot of puff and bluster, just saying, hey, PSVR 2 is going to be one of the biggest things for PlayStation 5 ever. and just the usual fluff that they usually push out. And the only things that I've seen on my end have just been the PlayStation blog, the PlayStation YouTube channel videos of here's some of the cool stuff that the headset does. Here's a unboxing from the PlayStation channel on, here's what you get in the box, and then some videos that came out yesterday about, hey, we're going to take apart the headset and show you all the cool stuff that makes the headset work. And here's a video where we take apart one of the controllers completely to show you all the cool stuff that's inside the controllers. And it's just like, okay, well, those are neat for the hardware nerds and the tech heads out there, but ultimately you guys still need to sell this to the regular consumers and people who may not be super hardcore into video games. And you've done nothing to advocate for this. And I almost have my concerns, and I think you had expressed this perfectly on, I think, one of the weekly dividends, or maybe it was something that we had talked about in private, but it just seems like this thing is being set up to die, kind of like the Vita did back in the day.
I mean, what they also could be doing, let's be fair a little bit here, what they could also be doing is they're probably going to sell it to the main people that would be interested in it, which would be the early adopters, the ones that were really into VR and really into PlayStation, and they're going to sell those units, get as much money out of them as they can, and then drop the price when it becomes more, I don't know, equitable for the larger audience, is one way of doing it. The other is, I guess the other thing they could be hoping for is those people get the unit, love it, and evangelize it for other people to give it a shot. Which, again, another possible thing that could happen. That's something similar that happened to the PS Vita and the PSP when those were coming out, where people didn't really buy them in droves at first, but with the PSP specifically, they didn't buy them in droves at first, but they gradually got more and more sales as that happened, when people started realizing how cool the tech was. The Vita, not so much. It all really just comes down to the price on this. I think in this sense, like, they couldn't find a way to make the price lower than it needed to be, and they know it, and they know they don't have a big market for this, so they just saved money on marketing and didn't do it. All they're doing are blog posts and YouTube videos. That's all they're doing. And then they'll send units to specific YouTubers and to some outlets, and that's it. That's all they're going to do on this one. I think that's all it's going to be. And it may turn into all that they're going to do for the next couple of years with this. This might be just a niche product that is only meant for, I guess, the hardest of hardcore that really wants this. But that being said, I mean, let's talk about the report that came out from Bloomberg a few weeks ago that Sony refuted, and that is that the launch projections when it comes to the PSVR2 were cut in half, specifically from 2 million to 1 million units from the first quarter that was going to be released. Sony then said that they were not cutting PSVR2 production numbers. That's a Weasley kind of response, because they're not refuting the report, they're just obfuscating what they're saying. Like, do you think they'll sell their initial allotment?
Oof. Honestly, I'm not too sure, mostly because of the fact that just, if we're talking 1 million worldwide, maybe, and that's a very strong maybe. But if we're talking like North America wide, I don't think it'll hit 1 million sold in North America.
I think the 1 million is worldwide. I think it is.
Yeah, so in that case, yeah, maybe 1 million worldwide might be realistic. Maybe. I'd say I'd probably go maybe a little bit more conservative of maybe 500,000, mostly because just it's a $550 to $600 piece of kit, and a lot of people are just kind of looking at it in a sense of, holy shit, this costs as much as the console itself. And And that's not even with regards to taking into account the new pricing structure that some countries got for the PS5 consoles, where now the consoles are anywhere from like the equivalent of $600 to like $650. So I don't even know what the PSVR2 pricing for some of the other regions might be, because yeah, even then that might make it a worse proposition for those people in other countries.
Let me give you some stats, okay, that we have here in regards to sales. I'm going to give you two sets of stats. First one is going to be the PS5 unit sales. Right now, it says right here, according to Forbes, that the PS5 has sold 32 million units. Not bad. Not bad. Very good, I should say. That being said, I'm going to give you another set of statistics of sales. This is the Oculus Quest 2, or the Meta Quest 2. The amount of units sold of that is 14.8 million. With Meta Quest 2, I believe that is $400, and it's a self-contained unit.
Yeah, the price increase for the Oculus Quest 2 was recent, though. So
Okay, true.
Previously, it was being sold at $300, which, again, that was right at the same price point of the first PSVR kit.
Okay, true. Very good point. So we're looking at the units of the Oculus Quest or the Meta. Okay, you know what? I'm not saying Meta. Like, that is such a stupid name. Anyway, of the Meta Quest 2, the Meta Quest 2 has less than half units than the PS5. With that being said, out of 32 million units sold, I do not see them making 15 million units sold on VR units. I don't even see them making a tenth of that at this point. I would say right now, by year end, I don't think they even reach 1 million sold. I'll go down this road. I think the most it will sell is about 200,000.
I think I would probably fall in line with the same conservative estimate of maybe 200,000, maybe 250 by next year. But yeah, just even like 500K seems a bit optimistic, even, especially again, my argument is price, and really the only counter argument on price is if you're someone who wants to get into VR gaming and you look at the prices of PC graphic cards and, you know, just trying to build a VR ready rig and everything, and that's not including the Valve Index headset, which that thing's $1,000 on its own. So maybe in that case, sure, at that point I could see somebody going, you know, I'm paying a little over $1,000 for basically a PS5 and a PSVR2. Okay, yeah, sounds great. Sounds cheaper than, you know, building a gaming PC for about like 4K spent, and that's if you can even find the RTX 4090 that you want for this build or something. I mean, yeah, sure, you could probably get away with like a 4060 or 4070, sure, but you know, most VR enthusiasts, they go get the top tier hardware for a reason.
Right. But are they trying to sell to enthusiasts? I don't think they are at this point. I think they're trying to leverage their PS5 brand to get people into VR. I think that's what they're trying to do here. But the people who'd be even somewhat interested in this, I think, aren't the enthusiasts. The enthusiasts would have gotten the Index or the updated Index or Vive Pro, and they would have that big that hardware to get the bleeding edge graphics, and then they're going to look at the PS5 and the PSVR2 and go, okay, but I have a much more powerful system, and I have this VR set. I'm going to use that because it's going to give me.
I mean, this is definitely not going to be something for anyone who's already established with a gaming PC and can potentially do VR. This is definitely not going to be the product for them, because at that point they're going to look at the capabilities of the PSVR2 and go, okay, well, that's neat, but with the Valve Index I can do so much more. So
yeah,
you know, no way, I'm not going to waste my money on this. Whereas I'm talking about a person who sees all the discussion about, you know, VR gaming being like the cool thing, and just hearing maybe friends who have just gone completely gaga over some of the VR games coming out. Maybe they're in the mindset of, man, I really want to get into VR, but holy shit, just getting a VR ready gaming PC, holy crap, that's gonna be like $4,000 right off the get-go. Holy shit. And then the headset separately, oh god, that's another grand. Jesus, $5,000. Hell no. And then of course, then they see, oh, Sony's getting some of these VR games for PS5. Okay. How much is a PS5? Okay. $550. Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me. And I get one pack-in game for $550. Great. Okay. So next step, VR headset. Oh, you've got a PSVR2 headset for $600 and it comes with one free VR game. Okay, cool. So a little over $1,000 to get VR ready. Sweet. Sounds awesome to me. Sign me up. So I think that's the only counter argument to the price discussion that I can think of.
But that's a very slim amount of people, isn't it?
Yeah, even then, I don't think it's like just that you're gonna see like a ton of people just kind of lining up in the droves going, yeah, this is what I want to do or whatever. I definitely don't see that, but even still, that's not going to be a ton of people if Sony's hoping for that, because I don't see it.
I think at this point, if they're not pushing the marketing as much, they're not expecting this. They're not expecting a huge allotment of sales on this. And unless they come out with, oh, we sold 1 million, I would be shocked if that would happen. But we'll put it this way. If the PSVR2 comes out and in 2 weeks we don't hear sales numbers from Sony, it didn't go very well. If they're not touting, hey, 500,000 people have now bought the PSVR2, then there's a problem. There's a big problem. I think most of the sales are going to come from this month, because it doesn't look like there's much else coming out after that. And then maybe some sales during Christmas, and that's it. And then they'll have to churn up the marketing much more next year and try and get more people into the ecosystem. Or it just goes to Vita and they do it for a year or two and then they chuck the unit, essentially.
I think really what it all boils down to is I think this is just going to be just a super niche product. I mean, as someone who has loved their PSVR 1 headset, I think the PSVR 2 headset's features are super cool and super neat, but again, it all comes back down to the big gorilla in the room. It's the price. Just $600 to get a kit with a pack-in game, that's a lot. And then, of course, if you are a bit of a neat freak with your video gaming area in your living room, you don't want a whole bunch of wires coming out of your media center looking sloppy and everything. So naturally, Sony's got the magnetic charging kit for your PSVR 2 controllers, and that costs yet another $50.
Yeah. Oh, God. See, this reminds me of the PS3 launch. I remember during the PS3 launch that the tech and everything about it looked really impressive. And then you saw the price and went, hell no, am I not paying that amount? That's not happening. And it shot Sony in the foot around that time. But I will say this, though. There are people who are enthusiasts of the PlayStation brand who are going to dive into this. I think that's all they're getting on this one. So you're going to... The people who are going to buy this are specifically, I think, just going to be PlayStation enthusiasts. And that is it. I don't even think VR enthusiasts are going to get into this. Because I don't think, even if they... if you're a VR enthusiast right now, you have the big setup and the big system. You have the big system for the PC. You have your VR goggles that you want to use. I don't think you're going to spend an extra $1,200 to get the PSVR2. I just don't see it. So I think it's just PlayStation enthusiasts right now. And then Sony is going to have to do something to show that this unit is worth that investment. But until then, sales are going to be pretty low on this, I feel.
It just begs the question, when are we going to see just advertising going, oh man, it's at a lower price, PSVR2 is just, it's the way to get into VR, and just now's a great time because we just slashed the prices, guys. I'm just kind of waiting for that moment because I just have a feeling that they're gonna have to do something to move the units, and honestly, just the only thing I can really think of is just maybe some sort of aggressive price slashing has to happen at some point, just to start drawing people in, to get them curious and get them extremely interested to go, hey, yeah, just this whole thing looks cool. Oh, neat. They've slashed down the price to something drastic. Maybe this is kind of like completely pie in the sky or moonshot level, but maybe we see something on the level of like the 3DS ambassador program. Like they do a drastic price cut, and then they end up also giving the early adopters like a whole bunch of free VR stuff, or maybe like a big fat PlayStation Network credit that's only good for VR games or something.
Yeah, I was thinking pack-ins, really. I think that if they're pricing it this high, if they were to then in a year slash the price and slash it drastically, that is not going to look good. I would say if they would do anything if the first year doesn't work is if they go ahead and say, okay, you get the PSVR2, we'll keep the price, we'll give you 5 games. We'll give you, and they'll be the cheap game. They'll have Horizon, and then once the price is slashed for Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4, No Man's Sky, those games, when those prices slash to like 20, then they'll pack those in. And that will be the way they'll get people in. Oh, you'll get the system, and you're getting 5 free games. I think that is what's going to happen with that one.
Yeah, I mean, a major pack-in kit would probably be more realistic than like a major price cut or something.
Yeah, Sony is not in the price cut, doing price cuts right now, and they're also not a type of company like Nintendo, where they would say, yeah, we know you're the early adopters, and we had to slash our price, so here's something extra for being so loyal. No, Sony ain't like that. Sony's not going to be.
Yeah.
Nintendo did it for a reason, and that's because that is Nintendo's philosophy. Sony ain't like that. Sony's, oh, thank you for bye, and that's what they're going to do on that one. I think this year will be this pack-in and this unit and how it is, and if they have to make it more of an incentive to purchase it, they're not going to drop the price. They're going to pack it in. They're going to pack in like crazy amounts of games, and then that's it. If they don't do that, then it's a dead unit at that point.
I'll definitely be curious to see where the first week of sales land, but we won't find that out until early March, so I guess we'll be sitting tight until Sony puts out some sales numbers, but that's even if they do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt it if they end up trying to obfuscate numbers or something and go, hey, we shipped 500,000 units, yay! Even though ship doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Yeah. Something tells me unless the sales are big and like really do really well, we're not going to hear anything. We'll hear it on a news report in probably April during an not even April, probably June, July during an investor call. That's when we'll hear it. It'll be quiet if they don't sell very well, because you're not going to hear from Sony going, yeah, we only did like 100,000. No, they're not going to say that. They're like, oh, we believe in this brand, and and we are glad that it's making the people who bought the system happy. Yeah, that's it. But whatever the sales, thank you, bye. That's what they're going to do.
Yep.
Okay, so that is it for this segment of Capital Games. Unless something big happens on Thursday, we're going to have our weekly dividend on Friday, where we talk about the various things that happened throughout the week that we missed. And we'll play a game while doing that. I don't know whose turn it is. Is it my turn?
I believe it is my pick. Because,
it is your pick. That's right.
Yeah.
Because we unfortunately played Spelunky 2 and got killed all the time on that. That was my idea. That was my idea. Okay. So on that note, this is the end of this segment of Capital Games. Tune in next time when we go into the weekly dividend. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.